Hi, and welcome to Starz Recapped. Today we're diving into the German satirical comedy drama film Look Who's Back, released in 2015. Spoiler alert. Watch at your own risk. The film opens in Berlin during the final days of World War II. Adolf Hitler is seen speaking with a behavioral coach named Keppel. He criticizes the way people greet Keppel, complaining that although the Nazi salute is outdated, they should at least raise their arms out of respect. Hitler reflects on his past, claiming he did everything humanly possible to crush the enemies who defiled their homeland. But he's confused and disturbed. Something feels off. He can't understand why Germany still exists, or why he does. Suddenly, in the next scene, Hitler wakes up, lying in the middle of a forest, completely disoriented. As Hitler looks up at the sky, he notices the enemy aircrafts are gone and assumes they must be taking a break. Suddenly, a ball bounces toward him and comes to a stop at his side. He slowly gets up and makes his way past some bushes toward a nearby building. Just then, 3 young children approach and ask if he's okay. Hitler stares at them for a moment, thinking to himself that these kids represent the future of Germany. He asks them for directions to the street. At that exact moment, a reporter named Fabian Sawatzki is nearby, filming the children. In the background, his camera captures a glimpse of Hitler. Meanwhile, Hitler picks up his military cap and mutters that he must return to the Führer bunker. Reaching the street, he's stunned by the sight of people riding modern monowheel bikes. Strangers begin taking photos of him, and Hitler remarks to himself that while the rubble is gone, the people have clearly gone mad. When he touches a sleek modern car, he wonders if he's been in a coma and missed Germany's victory. Realizing he has no grasp of what's going on, he decides to investigate further. He stops a man to ask where the chancellery is, but instead of answering, the man excitedly asks for a photo. Startled by the sudden camera flashes and attention, Hitler becomes increasingly uneasy. As he walks away trying to make sense of it all, he spots a woman nearby talking on a mobile phone in fluent German, adding to his confusion. Hitler approaches a woman and asks her for the current date. Frightened, she sprays pepper spray in his eyes. Screaming in pain, his eyes turn red and his vision blissors. Disoriented, he stumbles into a nearby newspaper stand. There he sees the date on a newspaper, October 3rd, 2014. Shocked, he collapses to the ground. Elsewhere at a TV station, the boss, Karner, praises Christoph Sensenbrink for his work as deputy head. Christoph expects a promotion, but instead, Karner appoints Katja Bellini as the new managing director. Stunned and disappointed, Christoph returns to his office and vents his frustration at Fabian Sawatzki, a struggling filmmaker. Despite Fabian's efforts to reason with him, Christoph fires him. Fabian is dragged out of the building by security. Meanwhile, Hitler regains consciousness at the newsstand and asks the vendor to confirm the date. When the vendor says it's really 2014, Hitler grows suspicious, convinced it's a plot by the enemy's secret service. He even threatens the shopkeeper, who calmly hands him a bar of chocolate. After fumbling to open the wrapper, Hitler sniffs the chocolate and declares it to be industrially pressed grain. Confused, he asks if there's still a bread shortage. The shopkeeper, thinking Hitler is part of a documentary shoot, asks if a film crew is nearby. He remarks that Hitler looks exactly like the Führer, prompting Hitler to proudly declare that he is the Führer. Spotting a Turkish newspaper, Hitler asks if the vendor carries Stürmer or Panzerbeer. The vendor replies that most of his customers are Turkish. Hitler is stunned to learn there are so many Turkish people in Berlin. Curious, Hitler begins reading the newspapers. He concludes that he must have lost the war and that modern Germany has fallen into the hands of clumsy women with the charisma of a wet noodle. He also laments Poland's existence and declares the entire war effort a failure. Meanwhile, Fabian is at home watching one of his old soccer video reports, devastated by his firing. His mother comforts him and asks him to pause the video. She notices someone in the background who looks exactly like Adolf Hitler. Fabian is stunned. Back at the shop, the owner tells Hitler to put the newspaper down and go outside. Hitler grumbles, annoyed at being treated like a common worker. The vendor tells him to wash his clothes because they stink. Hitler then visits a laundry service and asks them to clean his uniform. When they hesitate, he asks if they have a spare uniform, claiming he can't just walk around naked. Next, we see Hitler walking back to the newspaper stand, this time wearing jeans and a sweater, a stark contrast to his usual uniform. Meanwhile, Fabian, who has been searching for him, is already waiting inside the shop. When he finally sees Hitler, he's stunned by how identical he looks to the real thing. Fabian approaches him and asks if he can film Hitler as he explores modern-day Germany. Surprisingly, Hitler agrees. With some money and a car borrowed from his mother, Fabian sets off on a bizarre journey across the country, with Hitler as his companion. The two check into a hotel where Hitler is fascinated by the television. Captivated by this new form of communication, he decides he wants to talk politics in Fabian's video project. Together, they go out to the streets. Hitler interviews people, asking their opinions on the current political climate. After gathering responses, he's shocked to realize that democracy seems to have made little real impact on many of them. He senses growing discontent and suppressed frustration among the public, feelings that eerily remind him of Germany in the 1930s. Back then, he reflects, people felt the same way, though they didn't yet have a name for it: political disenchantment. Many people voice concerns about immigration, prompting Hitler to reinforce his old, dangerous belief that mixing races doesn't work. Later on, Fabian curiously asks Hitler about the origin of his distinctive mustache. Hitler explains that he trimmed it that way so it could fit properly under a gas mask during the war. Sometime after, the two arrive at a farm where a dog suddenly bites Hitler. Furious, he pulls out a gun and shoots at the animal. Fabian, shocked and angry, scolds him and immediately confiscates the weapon. As their journey continues, Fabian runs out of money. Thinking quickly, he comes up with an idea. He convinces passersby to let Hitler draw sketches of them for a small fee. Hitler ends up drawing satirical and exaggerated caricatures, which people surprisingly find hilarious. They begin paying for the artwork, and the duo soon gathers enough funds to keep going. Back in the city, Fabian shows a video clip of Hitler to Christoph. Fabian had uploaded the footage online, and it's gone viral, racking up a huge number of views. Christoph is impressed by the popularity of the video and asks for Hitler's name and contact details. When Christoph finally meets Hitler in person, he grows suspicious, thinking he might be mentally unstable. He tells Fabian to take him out of the building immediately. But before leaving, Hitler walks into the director Katja Bellini's office and boldly asks her to help him save Germany. Intrigued, Bellini asks him what his plan is. Fascinated by the unusual charisma and potential for TV ratings, she instructs her assistant to start developing a proper show format featuring Hitler. Meanwhile, Fabian sees an opportunity and threatens Christoph. Either give him his job back or he'll take Hitler, the internet sensation, somewhere else. Upon hearing Fabian's threat, Christoph reluctantly agrees to rehire him, but only as a kitchen assistant, with the vague promise of a promotion once a new editorial position opens up. Sometime later, Hitler is given his own table at the TV studio. Christoph assigns Kromeyer to help him get familiar with using a computer. Hitler, reminiscing about the technology of his era, calls the computer one of humanity's greatest inventions. Kromeyer tries to set up an email account for him, but finds that Adolf Hitler is already taken. Annoyed, Hitler complains that people have stolen his name. He suggests using New Reich Chancellery instead, claiming he likes the sound of it. Meanwhile, Christoph hatches a plan to sabotage Bellini, still bitter over her promotion. He decides to place Hitler on a live comedy show called Whoa, Dude. His hope is that Hitler will say something outrageously racist, perhaps even anti-Semitic, and that the backlash will reflect poorly on Bellini, forcing her removal. When the live show begins, host Witzigmann welcomes Hitler to the stage. The audience murmurs, unsure whether this is an act or something else entirely. But the moment Hitler locks eyes with the crowd, a heavy silence falls over the room. Then, breaking the silence, Hitler tosses the script aside. He tells the audience that he was supposed to deliver a joke about immigrants, but refuses. Instead, he launches into a serious speech. He declares that while television is a brilliant invention, the programs it airs are mindless distractions. He shifts the focus to real societal issues like poverty and unemployment, warning that the nation is blindly marching toward disaster. With a fiery resolve, Hitler vows to fight not only against the nonsense aired on TV, but also against the decline he sees in society itself. He declares that he will not stop until he has turned things around. The audience erupts in applause, impressed by Hitler's powerful speech. His unexpected popularity begins to soar, so much so that even the host Witzigmann becomes visibly envious. Recognizing the impact Hitler is having, Bellini instructs Christoph to feature him on every show. Christoph, frustrated that his sabotage attempt has failed, is left visibly distressed. In the following scenes, Hitler begins appearing on multiple TV programs, delivering interviews and repeating his mission to make Germany great again. His public support grows rapidly. He meets with citizens and even political party leaders, effortlessly winning them over with his charm and rhetoric. One day, Hitler and Fabian visit the NPD headquarters in Berlin. Hitler confronts Ulf Birne, the party's federal chairman, bluntly asking what the party has actually accomplished. He mocks Birne, accusing the movement of wasting decades through empty words and inaction. Back at the TV studio, Christoph gets a sudden boost of hope when the police and district attorney arrive. They announce that a complaint has been filed regarding a potential violation of hate speech laws. Bellini nervously asks what their next steps should be. Seizing the moment, Christoph quickly suggests canceling the Führer show. However, the DA responds that they may continue broadcasting. Bellini breathes a sigh of relief, while Christoph forces a smile, hiding his disappointment. Shortly after, Kromeyer hands Christoph a letter concerning the compensation for the dog Hitler had shot earlier during their trip. Christoph lights up, seeing the incident as another possible opportunity to take Hitler down. In a later broadcast, Hitler is invited onto a live TV program where he faces direct questions about his role in the war. The interviewer challenges him, pointing out that none of his past actions can be justified. He even plays a video clip of Hitler shooting the dog. The footage shocks the audience. In response, Hitler grows furious, threatening the interviewer and saying he would do the same to him. He even warns that he'll turn the entire studio into a tank parking lot. Finally, Christoph's plan seems to work. The public backlash is immediate. Bellini is fired, and Christoph is promoted to station manager, just as he had hoped. Afterward, Hitler moves in with Fabian and begins living at his house. Reflecting on how strange fate has become, Hitler expresses amusement at the path destiny has taken and begins working on his second book. Before long, the book is published and quickly hits the market. 3 months later, the staff at the TV studio gathers for a meeting to discuss the company's massive financial losses. Christoph insists that Witzigmann's show will revive their ratings, but an employee informs him that Witzigmann has resigned. This sends Christoph into a panic. Furious, he blames the team for letting the show collapse. Someone suggests bringing Hitler back, and suddenly Christoph is interested. He tracks Hitler down and offers Fabian a deal. The network will invest €1 million in the film Fabian and Hitler are making in exchange for exclusive TV broadcast rights. Fabian and Hitler agree. Later, they visit Kromeyer's home. There, Kromeyer's elderly grandmother immediately recognizes Hitler. Traumatized, she accuses him of orchestrating mass murder, shouting that he gassed people and killed millions. She screams at him to get out of her house. As they drive away, Hitler casually remarks that he's surprised Kromeyer is Jewish. He then begins belittling Jews, calling them subhuman. Fabian, disturbed and disillusioned, grows visibly uncomfortable with Hitler's words and behavior. Back on set, Fabian asks Hitler to reenact the moment he first woke up in the forest. He presses him, trying to recall what happened just before the ball rolled toward him, but Hitler draws a blank. He simply can't remember. Later that night, Fabian steps outside and is suddenly ambushed by a group of thugs. They accuse Hitler of being the reason they need to take Germany back and brutally punch him in the face. When Hitler opens his eyes again, he finds himself lying in a hospital bed, staring up at Bellini. At the same time, Fabian reviews old footage he had captured of the boys playing soccer, the very video where Hitler first appeared in the background. As he examines it closely, he notices something shocking. Hitler is seen rising up from the exact spot he had been lying. Stunned, Fabian rushes to the same location. There, he discovers a sign. Historical site, Führer bunker. The pieces start falling into place. Panicked, he races to the hospital, but Hitler is gone. Bellini tells him that he's already left for the film set. Frustrated, Fabian insists that Hitler is the real Adolf Hitler, but Bellini laughs it off. Desperate and frantic, Fabian tries to explain his theory, but it sounds too wild. The hospital guards try to detain him, but he escapes. Fabian storms onto the set, this time with a gun in hand. He points it at Hitler and demands the truth. Calmly, Hitler replies, "I never claimed to be anyone else." Fabian accuses him of deceiving the people with propaganda. But Hitler counters, reminding Fabian that in 1933 he was openly elected by the people, who knew exactly what he stood for. Fabian forces Hitler to the rooftop, cornering him with the gun. With fury in his voice, he calls Hitler a monster, but Hitler responds with chilling calm, "They chose me. They gave me power, because deep inside, they saw themselves in me. Their values were mine." Enraged, Fabian shoots him. Hitler falls off the rooftop, crashing down onto the street below. But then, Fabian hears Hitler's voice behind him. "You cannot get rid of me. No German ever will." He turns, and there Hitler stands again, completely unharmed. Suddenly, Bellini yells, "Cut!" The cast and crew burst into applause. It's revealed that this was part of a film shoot. The man playing Fabian was just an actor. The real Hitler is now a celebrity, posing for autographs and doing interviews as the film becomes a massive hit. Elsewhere, Kromeyer tearfully watches the real Fabian, now locked away in a mental institution, peeking through a hole in the wall. Meanwhile, Hitler and Bellini walk past admiring fans. People on the street wave, smile, and greet Hitler with admiration and respect. And that's the story of Look Who's Back, 2015. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more recaps like this, turn on notifications, and don't forget to leave a like to support the channel. Thanks for watching.